are we actually teaching our children the language of anxiety?
Wow, I think that's a brilliant question. I would suggest that we are much better at it than what we were. I think we're going in the right direction. I still think they need to bring in some top quality psychologists merged with educationalists who could have a better understanding, because the psychologists will give you the materials and the educationalists will talk about how to impart that knowledge so they can absorb it quicker, retain it for longer. So they need a merging of the two practices, I think, for it to be fully effective. I've done some work in schools, and I would suggest it's not a UK problem. I think it's a global problem. All the places that I've been around the world, I did a tour of South Africa. It was prevalent there. They would almost have the tools and pay lip service. The people at Ofsted and the people at the ministries, they have a very strong idea of what's required. And they want the mental well-being of all students. We want our children to be happy. That's absolute paramount. It's clear that we want that. However, what tends to happen, it's also in the private sector. The private sector is sort of driven by parents, by their customers. And their customers will want A grades. We want the grades.
Yes.
And the governments will also say, we need to demonstrate that there is a growth in the education system. How do we do that? The only way we do know how to do this is what we did 150 years ago. Let's do English, math, science, and it's all about conditioning with short-term memory. Let's have a look at those examinations. Yes. And I think that's the problem. So I think we need to try and, it's from the very top. We need to say, there needs to be a new measure of success. I would love to see, if you want a crossover from the business world, Kaplan. Kaplan was the professor that designed the balanced scorecard method, a very famous method that's used in business. Now, organizations look at that as saying, everybody uses Kaplan's balanced scorecard now. So every major organization will have their KPIs, which will be balanced, not just by bums on seats or by the dollar bills, but it also looks at customer satisfaction, things that are not easy to accurately qualify. But they try to do this through surveys and how do our employees feel? Let's get a good satisfaction, because that ultimately translates into good business. And I think we need to do something similar for an educational model where we are focusing just as much on the emotional development of our children. And I would suggest we need to focus more on the processes of learning, more so than the actual results.
The outcomes, yeah.